My book is called My Magical Palace, and it's my first book. I'm a debut writer, published by HarperCollins, and it is a novel set in Hyderabad, which is the reason I'm here, partly, and I'm very happy to be here. It's about a 14-year-old boy growing up in a palace in India, and it's a story about being different and um, loss and tragedy, and also ultimately breaking the rules to follow your heart. Um, well, that's a kind of interesting story. I originally never thought I would ever write a book, though I love to write and I'm a poet also. But I did take a class, a writing class, and one of the exercises was to write an essay about a place you could never go back to. So I wrote about this place that I could never go back to. It was a palace I grew up in. It was an old Nizam palace in Hyderabad. And it's just this little 3-page essay, and I was told by my teacher and my mentor that I should use that as the framework for a novel, and basically every paragraph could become a chapter. And because it was very emotionally loaded for me at the time, I didn't want to deal with it. But a couple of years later, I did write the book, and so that's the origin of the book. It's a story of loss. And then along with it, I wove several threads and characters, and different themes emerged, and the stories that are wound all around this central core of loss. The palace was real, though it's a slightly enhanced version in the book, and that's really it. And the rest is all really made up. So the incidents in the book that happened to the character didn't really happen to me, but the character did live in this palace that was real. And there's certain other references and interests, such as Rajesh Khanna films and all that, are all very much real. And so the time and the place is real. So the story, I mean, really set in short, is set in San Francisco and Hyderabad. It's not just really Hyderabad. So there is a couple, the two men in San Francisco who are in a relationship, and the relationship is on the rocks because one of them is still seeing girls for arranged marriage, and he asks his partner to leave the house. And so basically he gets very, very upset with him and tells him to tell him why he's living this double life. And incidentally, this character Rahul is also having nightmares, and he keeps dreaming about this palace that he lost, that is no longer there. And so to get his relationship back and get his life back, over the course of a weekend, he tells the story of what happened, and that's why it's called My Magical Palace. And it's the story of what happened over that 1 year of his life, and everything changed, and why he's the way he is. And in the end of it, you will see what happens. Yeah, but the telling of the story is his healing. Yes. The main theme of the book is that all of us are different and unique in our own way, and none of us really fits society's expectations of us, and we are forced to do what our families want us to do, what our schools want us to do, what our peers want us to do, and we keep wanting to fit this mold, and we see the consequences very early in life of not fitting in. And so all of us really, it's a human thing to hide parts of ourselves so that we won't be ridiculed or made fun of, and so we would fit in better. And ultimately, it's just it's a struggle for acceptance. Every one of us wants to love and to be loved, and that's the bottom line for any human being. And in order to get that, we lie, we do all kinds of things. And this book is really a conversation about what happens when people lie, and what happens to the people in their lives and the impact. And what does it take to actually own one's true self and be honest, and what is the impact of that? And it really is about breaking the rules to follow one's heart. It really is about that. That we as human beings are always looking at somebody else thinking they're different from us. Because yeah, we are all different, of course we are different, and that we use that as a way to marginalize sections of society and treat those people badly. And this book really, I want the readers to read this book and relate to every experience that each character has here, and says, I have felt that, I know what that feels like. And the end of that book, of reading this book, I would like my reader to realize that we are all really the same, and that we don't need to think others are different.